What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's been years since I've done this type of video, but today we are doing some public land scouting. I'm going to show you what we find, kind of my strategy with it all. Right now we're heading to the eastern shore of Maryland, and it's bright and early. It's 6:45 right now, and I left about 6 o'clock, and we're going to take you on this process. Hope you guys enjoy the video. We're pulling up here, parking spot, and get busy. Nobody's here. Alright guys, we just got here, and we're gonna get dressed and then get to hiking. I have a couple different spots marked out, so let's change some clothes. Alright, let's go. Jeez, look how big these trees are. So I absolutely love this place. I'm not gonna tell you where it's at, but it's on the eastern shore, Maryland, and there's a lot of pressure that gets here on this property. It's like 1,800 acres, and it's because they have a lot of horseback riding, where companies come in and they do fox. They run the hounds with the foxes and stuff, and there's hiking trails, so you have a lot of pressure. So it's one of them things where you just have to get unique on how you hunt it. So what I'm looking for are two things. One is habitat change, where they have hardwoods that meet up against pine rows. You can clearly see that on aerial photos. That's what I'm looking for. Second thing is cattail swamps. The cattail swamps usually come out to points, and deer will cross either in between those cattail swamps or around the tops. And that's where I killed my buck last year, right in a cattail swamp. So that's the two primary things that I'm looking for on this public land piece. So right now we're currently hiking back to an area where I actually shot my velvet buck last year. And there's a couple more areas in there that I just want to peek at, and then we're going to move along and actually scout some new areas. Another thing with this piece too is, in my opinion, there's not a lot of deer per square mile. So when you hunt here, you don't see a lot. But typically, when you do see one, it's the potential of seeing a decent sized buck for the area here in Maryland. So you can't really get too excited about seeing tons of deer. I really don't care about seeing tons of deer. I just want to see the deer, and that's just something that you have to look for and expect when you hunt in certain areas. So we'll see what happens, but it's a beautiful time of year. It's March, bright and early in the morning. We've been having super warm temperatures lately, and you can see behind me things are actually starting to green up early. I mean, we're like 4 weeks early typically from spring green up, but it could be a good and a bad thing. But it's giving deer food, and we'll see. But birds are chirping, man. It just reminds me of turkey season. A lot of states are starting turkey hunting, and that's what we're getting into here. You can see the horse tracks there coming through, but that's okay. It's always been that way. I used to hunt this piece when I was like 16, 17, so over 20 years ago. And then I just really got into private land hunting and managing farms and stuff. So I kind of gave up on the public land hunting because you just run out of time. There's only so much time you can focus on. But last year I got back into public land hunting, and I want to focus back onto this piece for the next couple years to try to figure it out and master it, and see what you can get out of it. Now this would be considered this front piece, the front side of this swamp. That's just a little swamp inside the middle of the woods, and you got cattails that wrap all around it. So let's get around this other side here. I'll show you. Swamps over here, cattails. Here's the deer trail that wraps around this swamp and goes to the backside. You can see they got brush pants on. Got a lot of briars. There you go. A bunch of deer just ran right there. They get back in here and they bed near these swamps. Isolated piece. Huge deer trail here. It crosses, it comes out up here. I guess feeds this swamp. They can cross right here. Wow, check that out. Tick already. Unbelievable. Get off. Another one. Wow, ticks out already. Crazy. Looks like I'm about to start spraying down now. Start treating my clothes again. But anyway, on the back side of this cattail swamp, you can see over here, I showed you they cross on this side, but they also have a trail that goes inside of that cattail swamp, and that's where I shot my buck last year, 2022, and then it ran up this way. So still, you know, I'm not going to overlook this spot come this fall. We'll come back in later in the summer, re-scout it, you know, see, make sure they're doing the same thing. But again, anytime you have those cattail swamps, look for the points of them where they cross, and even inside of there, because there's high pressure days, you get a lot of people in there in the woods or something hunting, they will seek out those cattail swamps for cover. They necessarily don't want to be in there, but it's what's here, so they use it to their advantage. They get in there, and that's what happened to my buck. You know, opening morning, they came up in there. It was him and another buck, smaller buck. They came up in that cattail swamp and bedded down for like 3 hours. Literally just bedded right in the swamp, and then once he got up, I waited it out. Once he got up a few hours later, he came out right over here. I was able to shoot him. The tree stand, like I said, is right over there. So good spot. Man, I cannot believe spring green up is so early this year. Literally like 4 weeks in advance. Bushes, briars, shrub, everything's just greening up. Crazy. Wow, so much deer sign back here. Tracks, everything's tore up all through here. It's definitely a high traffic area. It's all surrounded by cattails, swamps. You got some pines, some oaks, you know, gum, and loblolly pines up in there. But again, you got that swamp, you know, that surrounds that, or I should say the river, and right on inside that they just follow that bankment around. And right now we're going to follow this trail. I guarantee it's going to go back into a swamp or out into a point. My goodness, look at these trails in here. Whew. I think I found a new hot spot. I gotta find a tree. I'm telling you guys, if people don't get out into the outdoors just to chill and soak in some sun, but listen, just listen for a second. All those different wildlife, birds and chirping, and we saw some deer. Unfortunately we had ticks, but it's just cool, man, to get out, heart pumping, exercise, fresh air, sunshine. Can't beat it. Now the next thing, thinking about this when you guys are scouting, it's a point that comes out. Might only be 75 yards wide, maybe 100 yards long. Just goes out into the river. Now, one, how do you get in here without spooking deer? Because I just walked over into there, jumped a doe. So they're already back in here. It's in the morning. Obviously that's going to change because, you know, it's not September. You know, things change as the time goes on. But in general, in this area, coming back in here very early morning would probably be an okay bet, because you can catch them out feeding in the ag fields in the morning. You get back in here super early, catch them coming back to bed. or you hunt the outside of this, you know, before we get back into this point to catch them coming back out in the afternoon. So I'm trying to figure that out now. Probably have a morning stand here, afternoon stand back out that way. You guys can see I'm using hunt stand. I just marked a pin there. It's gonna be a very early spot for hunting. Now that is a massive tree right here that uprooted. Whew. Whew. Out of breath on that one. That one is just so thick in there, bending down and getting out. But now we're on the outside of that. This would be better for, could be a morning stand as well, catching them going into this swamp. But it also out here would be better afternoon spot because they would be already in their bedding. Come back here, it's probably gonna be one of those last light type of deals. But you catch them coming back out of here, working their way back out into the ag, because all the ags that way for, you know, 3, 4, 500 yards where they rotate beans and corn. All right, so I didn't really find a tree on the outside of this swamp to be able to hunt either morning or afternoon, so I don't know, we'll figure that out later toward the season. You know, patterns might change or something and we'll go from there, but in general I found what I was looking for. Get back into those points, hard to get into. You gotta have brush pants on, rubber boots, which I didn't wear rubber boots, so parts of it I couldn't get to. But it's where them deer are, man. They high pressure, they get back in there, and you're gonna have to just hunt really early in the morning to get back where you want to go, and you know, stay to last light and expect those deer to move late, move toward the ag fields if they have that on your public land. But cattail swamps, the edges of hardwoods, and you know, some pines, things like that. So we're gonna head back to the truck. I'm actually gonna spray down with some bug spray, and we're gonna go visit another spot. We're walking up on this pond here, guys, on this new piece here that we're recently looking into, but I hear geese on it, so they're gonna fly here any minute. So in this spot here, I had this tree over there, and it kind of pinches down. There's an old fence here that's open, and they come down into here, and they walk this road up in here. Now on this side, you actually have a swamp, which you can't really access. It's more of a where it dams up in there. So you have this little hedgerow of woods that follow that swamp. Tons of oaks on this side. I'm assuming it was an old clear cut, and then you got a lot of brush growing up in there with some pine trees. It's so thick in there you can't really get in there. And I did see a buck here last year when I hunted, probably the second week of the season. Decent one. I think I had the video on my phone, and I'll put that in here and I'll show you. But yeah, it's still a good spot. I like this, and this is the area where I saw that buck toward the end of the season on trail camera. Hopefully he still makes it, because he'll be bigger this year. So we're gonna walk up this way a little bit more, and then there's another looks like there's another swamp on the map. We're gonna check that out, because like I said, you got these swamps, the points of those swamps, the intersections of them, these two types of habitat on this property, where you have the pines and old clear cuts butted up against the hardwoods with oaks, and then you know, the swamps and creeks and geese and all the ag. So it's a diverse habitat for them. They got ponds, and they actually have switchgrass plantings, because they do tons of rabbit hunting here as well. So let's get busy. All right, so the map aerial photo was legit. Here's a trail, comes back out into this ag, and right up in here is a swamp, cattail swamp. So it's a long hedgerow that wraps around the river here, and you get up into here with the swamp. Here is the cattails, and pretty much same setup. You got oaks, nice oak there, giant oak over there, some pines, lower brush. I'm not seeing a whole lot of activity. Usually it goes around the swamps here. So keep looking a little bit and maybe we'll get over to the other side. So we got some more cattails up here. The spot that was up here I didn't really enjoy too much, so go back into here. It's a bigger chunk of timber. I would assume they're bedding up in somewhere in here and in this timber, because hunting back over there 200-300 yards, they were always going back and forth this way. So they're bedding in here, back on this side someplace. So we found a fairly heavy trail here. It literally goes straight back into the fields. So we're gonna trace this out here and see where it goes. Man, so much spring green up. Blows my mind, it's so early. Only got one that goes this way and it splits right here. You can see one goes that way. We're gonna go this way. Also keep in mind, again, we're in March. You know, it's not the fall, it's not hunting season. Lots of food sources are changing, the ag's cut, all the oaks are probably, you know, acorns are probably wiped out. So this spot in the fall could be awesome. So we're just, like I said, we're just getting a general idea of what's going on, and we'll come back later toward the season to refine what we see today. But I can say, if this was this was private land, my land, or a client's land that I was consulting on, it would make sense for a perfect dynamite bedding area. I'd come in here with a brush hog, some kind of rotary mulcher, mulch out sections of these briars, and then start doing some heavy cutting in here. There's lots of bigger trees that can be wiped out. There's some oaks in here, but I'd make the bedding on one side or the other, and then have a travel route through here for stands, for morning stands. Just so much you could do, but fortunately it's public, so you gotta work with what you got. Now I'm gonna share with you here what I found. And there's a lot of videos online saying where, you know, to make bedding areas, you cut and make it as thick as possible. And that is just completely, in my opinion, wrong, because here's what's up. So you have all over here massive briars, cut, fallen down trees, logs, debris, everything. I had brush pants on. It was tough walking through. Now from here to there is the water. So we have a maybe 30-yard wide strip here, and look what's happening. There's a deer trail that cuts out right here, walks right here through the thin stuff, because they're avoiding this thick area. And I followed that around, and it's thin all the way around, but closer to the water. They're literally avoiding the thick stuff, walking this open spot, going around the thick stuff, and it makes its way back out to the ag field here about another 100 yards. So the area can be too thick, guys. You just have to be careful not to make it too thick. Now, you know, it's just an example to look for, you know. You just got to be careful when you're cutting timber on your property. That trail comes right through there. Okay, I actually marked a tree over there. We're gonna keep an eye on that. But look what it goes into. All these dead tree tops. And it skirts the side there and goes up into here. So thick in here. But I guarantee at some point they are using this for bedding. There's some rubs up in here. You have a small patch of these thin pines and all these deadfalls down in here. So probably a good bedding area. So there's that patch of timber that I just walked through, starting over there. We came walking here, got up into there. So thick throughout the center, and that's where they're skirting the backside against the water. Comes around, loose back into this thin strip. Over there's where all those dead tree tops were. So overall, I like it a little bit better now. So I marked a tree back in the back. It's bedding throughout, thin strips on both sides where they can walk down. And like I said, over there, about 300 yards is where I had a, you know, consistent buck movement. So they're moving along these patches, in and out of these creeks and throughout this thick stuff. Tons of oaks through here on both sides, some pines, then it goes back into, you know, more ag that way. So I'm going to focus. I'm going to probably come back in April one more time in April. It's got a couple more spots, and for the next few weeks I got more consulting to wrap up, then I'm done for the year, and then unless something else comes in. But we're going to come back in April, scout a little bit more, and then come back in probably end of June, early July, maybe start placing some cameras, kind of fine-tuning things, and hopefully we can get a big old velvet buck out of this place again. Thanks for tuning in. Follow along on this journey. We'll see you guys on the next video.